Hello everyone, and welcome to nowhere. Hey, I just saw you pop out from behind a tree. To Nowhere, a mystery horror game based in Norse mythology. Although I do believe it takes place in the modern day, so it's really interesting that we're seeing a structure like that back there. Now, it says that it combines realistic detective gameplay, however that's going to present, with survival horror. And I'm really interested to see how this will work. Now, thank you to the publisher for providing me with this early key for this demo. You've been tracking a group of missing tourists, last seen in the forests of Norway. As you explore, you find you're unable to leave, and you feel like you're being watched. Find out what happened to the tourists, and a way for you to escape. And here we are. I guess deep in the forests of Norway? The dense fog causing all the trees to silhouette off into the distance? And look, this is a feature that I've always loved. The uneven terrain, the mossy rocks. This is gorgeous to look at, although there is a bit of a motion blur that I could do without. A game like this really needs to, sell the forest, which is really hard to do in a video game, and I'm happy that this looks really nice. The journal is used to keep track of all your clues, discoveries, and other information. Well, okay. Oh, and we have information on the people we're looking for. Daniel Graham, a 24-year-old man with long brown hair and green eyes, has been missing since April 4th, 2024. He was last seen at approximately 10 a.m. near Vingelen, before heading into Forla, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, National Park. He was wearing a black coat, jeans, brown boots, and red camping gear. And then Ethan Graham, oh, maybe brothers? Sarah Carter, and Jessica Lynch. Okay, so I'll give a quick skim of their effects. Pink backpack, cyan backpack, blue backpack, and I guess you didn't have one. Oh, look at that. We've actually got a full body, and wow, this must be in very, very early stages, because I'm pretty sure this is a default Unreal asset, but the fact that this means that we'll have a full body is really promising. There's a document here. You can interact with items and scenes in the world around you when you see one of these icons. Oh, we collected a map. Ah, cool, but it's not gonna be a regular video game map. It looks like we're gonna have to rely on landmarks. Meaning that it's going to be very, very easy to get just as lost as the people we're looking for. To any that find our van, please don't move it. It's also locked, and we took all our supplies with us, so don't bother breaking in. We should be back in a few days, if we find what me and Sarah are looking for. Daniel. So this wasn't just a vacation then, you were looking for something. I don't know why you'd name yourselves on that note, but it does tell us that it was Ethan and Sarah who were trying to do something. Maybe the other two were just dragged along for the ride? How long has this been here? Well, we should... I don't know, maybe there's something we can do to find out? You said last seen April 4th, but do we know what day it is now? You said that the camper itself is locked, but if we could get inside, then maybe we could find something out. But they obviously would have come this way, and it looks like the fence is down. What's a fence doing here? You know what? That's actually a really good question. I mean, it doesn't look like there's anything built up anywhere near here. For that matter, how did you even get an RV here? Unless maybe none of this is where it was left? Well, let's go. The camera can be used to help you document and keep track of your clues and discoveries while working on cases. Press C to toggle the camera. Ah, wait, we can take a picture and add it to my journal. Alright, we'll use that in a second. In the meantime, it looks like somebody already took a picture. One last look at the way back. Now, let's, nothing left on the back of the Polaroid. Okay, well, let's actually compare that. It is the same view. What if we take one of our own? There we are. So we can use that to create references for ourselves. That is so cool. And document the beautiful vistas along the way. Focus allows you to inspect certain items and areas around the map to discern more info. Okay, that keeps disappearing way too quickly. Ooh, is that potentially blood? Dry, old, human, animal? Okay, well, if I were to take my camera, and I guess we can still see in focus view. There we go. So that's pretty cool. So only when we're in focus view does it draw our attention to it. So we have to notice that texture in the environment. That's really good. So it gives us a means to interact, but only once we've seen it for ourselves. The case board is used to display all your information you've obtained and track them against each missing person. And that appears in front of us. Oh, I see. So each one is a different tab, and we have to switch between them to see what we've placed on them. Alright, but in the meantime, I don't think there's anything we need to apply to anyone in particular, except for Daniel wrote the letter on the van. Would also be related to Sarah, I guess, but we don't need to place that now. I like this. I like a detective game that actually requires you to find things and piece things together, instead of just walking up to something to complete an objective. Speaking of walking up to something, seems like we've made a pretty big discovery already. Did I just see something over there? I feel like I saw something move in the trees. I mean, maybe it was just swaying branches. Turn back if it's not too late. But no word on who wrote it. I mean, I doubt you guys gave up about 50 feet down the trail. Nothing to be discerned about this. That looks like a fire burning down there. It's like some kind of old camp. Like old camp. Eerie encounters. This is my first entry for my latest venture into the paranormal. I heard some rumors about an area of these forests that hikers were going missing in, so I thought I'd go hiking there and go missing myself. I tried speaking to some locals in Vinglin about it, but no one wanted to talk about it. Probably not the best for a tourism. I'll make some notes and edit them once I'm back home. Originally, Sarah wasn't interested, until she heard where it was. She loves all that Nordic stuff. Ethan came along because he wanted some good photos, and I think Jessica just enjoys some time away from home. We're taking the van into Forlogna now, and I've been told to head northwest. So, let's see what we find. Okay, so you were chasing the paranormal. Looks like you may have found it. I mean, a fire still burning, multiple fires, means there must be people here, right? But I don't know if this is a tourist attraction. Look, it looks like that building over there has fallen over. God, It is very silent. I've just realized we don't even have footsteps. Eerie Encounters, the Forests of Forlogna, number 2. We found an old bridge that wasn't on the map, and decided to continue over slowly. Jessica was sure the bridge wouldn't support the van, but we made it. We headed down a dirt road that got more and more overgrown. I took that as a good sign, but Ethan started to complain about headaches, so we switched driving. I knew we were getting closer because we heard less and less wildlife, and the fog started to get thicker. It's pretty freaky. Eventually the road ended, so we decided to unload the van and start to explore a bit ahead on foot. I left a note just in case anyone stumbled by it, but even I knew that was pretty unlikely. I checked the compass to see if we were going the right way, and it was going berserk. I've never seen it spin out of control like this before. I think it's a great sign, but the others don't seem as pleased. You didn't really have an exit strategy, did you? As if Ethan wasn't having enough trouble, a rock landed on his head from a tree above. Not too serious, thankfully, but it made quite a mess. A mischievous crow, or something else at play. We went over the hill, and that's the first time we saw it. The settlement. So, you discovered this pretty quickly, but we also learned that we're pretty deep. Wait, so that must be the bloodstain that we encountered over here. Well, now we know whose blood it is and how it happened, but maybe if we were to look up on that spot, we could see something? Oh man, that run effect is real obnoxious. That's making me nauseous. Yep, fell down right on top of the wall. What happened here? I mean, this place doesn't look like something that should still exist, right? It's like we've stepped all the way back in time. I wish I knew what story it was they were hunting for, because this Daniel seemed to take the dense fog, the lack of animals, as encouragement. In other words, it seems like he knew what he was looking for. Is this a hamlet? Or some kind of waypoint travelers would use between villages? I can't believe how intact these buildings seem to be. Daniel seems to think there's something spooky about it. Of course he would. He had his spirit thing out wandering around. Annoyingly, it was beeping up a storm. Ethan spends most of his time taking snaps outside the walls, or from up the tower, no matter how many times Jessica tells him not to. She doesn't seem to be that interested. Not that she was that bothered about coming here. She just keeps saying how cold it is. Anyway, I think we'll spend the night here. At least one of the houses has intact doors that we can shut ourselves in. Probably right here then, right? Now, you said he was up in the tower. That tower has since fallen down, unless you're talking about this one here. Maybe we can climb it? Maybe you'll have left some of your photos behind? Being able to see what you saw is about as close as we can get to a primary source. Yes, I love this. I like it in detective games. The Payne Street Killings was great about this, where one clue will naturally lead you to another, instead of just placing an arbitrary marker on your face. What's there? I would like to know as well, but it's too dark and you're holding it too far away. That, however, that looks like a humanoid figure on the trail. Hang on, wait, if we press R, wait. Can you see them too? Wait, these photos, they have a description on them. It's not physically written on the model, but we can see it. Alright, let's find out what's going on in here. This actually looks surprisingly comfy. But where is that light coming from? I mean, it's almost like it's treating this cage as a light. Actually, it looks like there's a candle inside. Oh, hello, wait, is that like a coin or something on the table? Yeah, some kind of coin. Maybe we shouldn't take that with us. Eerie Encounters, The Forests of Verlogna, number 4. I wasn't sure if it was minutes that passed or hours before Ethan checked his watch, and it said midnight. The sky was never bright, but it hadn't changed from the dim gloom since we arrived. I'm unsure if it was the tiredness or stress or something else, but Jessica started to become increasingly nervous inside the settlement and wanted to return to the van for the night. I managed to convince her that we'd sleep inside one of the houses. How many chances would you get to sleep inside a real Viking house? We shut the doors and put down our sleeping bags for the night. Ethan decided to try sleeping on the bed. Sarah wasn't happy, but didn't argue. Terrible nightmares. I wandered the forests. They were completely silent, but I knew I was being watched. I felt the shadows following me, skulking behind the trees. I touched one of the trees and it burst into flame. Then the whole forest was consumed by a fire so hot I felt my skin blacken and blister. When I woke, Ethan must have woken up already, as the bed was empty. The others jolted awake. They wouldn't say why, but I'm guessing they didn't sleep much better. We found Ethan outside up in one of the towers. It looked like he was holding something, but it was gone by the time he came down. He said he felt safer up there somehow. So all of them had some kind of experience while trying to sleep, but all of them experienced it differently. Maybe we should take note of that. Maybe if we run into some kind of danger, we should climb up there. Alright, their sleeping bags seem to be gone, but those pillows don't look Viking era. What is that, a spoon? A little mug? Maybe we can do something with them? I mean, that's very clearly stuff left behind by them. And there's another photo over here by the bed. But I can't quite see it. We'll need to bring it into the light. We had an angle for a second right there. A photo of people sleeping. That's the description you give, but I don't see any people there. But wait, that perspective... Look, there's wood along the bottom. Is that looking in the back window? It is. Hang on, maybe we can find something in the dirt behind? Oops. Doesn't seem like it. I found my very first runestone. How exciting. Ethan didn't think anything was here, but I knew it. Felt it. It was outside of the waypoint, into the forest past the fallen watchtower. Despite its assumed age and the flora around it, it's completely untouched by moss and lichen. How odd. Upon closer inspection, it's cold to the touch. The intricate carvings are still visible, thank goodness. It looks to be written in Elder Futhark? So it's very old indeed. Does that mean it precedes the Viking Age? It will take me some time to sketch out and decipher these runes, so I'll make another note of that. Are there more runes around? We'll have to continue searching tomorrow. It's not getting darker, but it should be. That's weird, right? Yeah, this whole place actually seems to be frozen in time. And if anything, that just spurred you on. So next step is, I guess, going to be to move beyond that tower, but not before we've fully explored this area. There's a wooden pathway leading up and into the woods in that direction. And another photo over here. Where was this taken from? Well, it's at a high angle, so it has to be from up in one of the towers, right? It could just be a scenic landscape shot, but I don't know, maybe it tells us something a little more? Look at that. A whole sword just left out on the anvil. A typical Viking sword. Oh, I guess we're taking it with us. Alright, well, if we encounter anything, we at least have the opportunity to become a hero. But it's a good thing at least one of them knows about Nordic history. Maybe that's the one who was said to be interested. It seems like we could be dealing with something that even predates the Vikings. Something that they made their legends about. Well, you said there was something beyond the wall and tower. So let's have a look. Although, anytime we step off the trails and away from landmarks, things get a bit tougher to navigate. That's gotta be it. Look, it seems to have a glow all its own. It's almost like something radiated outward and pushed that tower over. Look at you. Neat. Oh, we can try and read it. Keyword being try, but maybe it's possible to find some way to translate. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. Oh, there's a note here. This rune seems to be talking about one of Odin's son, Vidar. I wonder what the significance of it being here is. He watches all within his domain, judging and ever vigilant. Is that why I can't shake this feeling of being watched? I'm not sure I believe Daniel about spirits being here, but something definitely feels weird here. The rest of the script talks about Ragnarok, the end of the gods. He survives? What happens to him after that? Alright, we got a little bit distracted. We haven't been in here yet. Look at this. An axe, a sword lodged in this door. It's like this place was raided. And we should probably get a picture of this before we start moving things. It's an old sword, but it doesn't look Viking. Yeah, thus furthering the theory that this place was attacked. Oh, we accidentally opened up both screens at once and held something up. An old Nordic axe. So that axe belonged to a defender. Yeah, and this place is all overturned, like they were attacked during dinner. They didn't expect to be. Okay, and we do have a flashlight. That's useful. Oh, actually not a flashlight, a lantern. Oh wait, is that another coin? Oh, a lantern that disappears when we crouch. Thank you. So that's the second one we've picked up. There must be something we can do with them then, right? I still have not found Eerie Encounters number 3, but I guess we'll just have to push on. If we check our map, we can see where things are in relation to each other. It even marks the runestone, which is really nice. So maybe we can... There's another photo down there. Maybe we can head to that big body of water, the lake? Why does this feel menacing? Well, we found where it was taken at least. It's some kind of shrine. What are you? Okay, let's get a picture before we disturb anything. Hope you don't mind the flash. Oh, hey, we've got a pride camera. I just noticed that. Algies. This means divinity, luck and protection, connection to the higher self. That's blood. That's, in fact, a lot of blood, and you've got another photo in your hands. Oh my god, you're wearing a watch. Wait, is that an actual burned corpse? A broken digital watch. Hang on, wait, we've got to get that Polaroid in your hand. There's blood all over you, but it looks like it's like moving, pulsating. The examine really... Okay, there we go. Is that a heart? I don't know, is that a heart? So it's like there was a sacrifice made here. Probably the heart? Doesn't seem to have done anything. Wait, we've got to check out this stone over here. Oh, we probably got to place something on each of these altars. There's another note. This one is Jera. It means cycles, change, and the harvests of both nature and life. Probably a hint as to what goes in each of these slots. Problem is, we're picking up the documents, so how am I going to remember which is which? Even if I take a picture, that doesn't show me what's on the note. Auras represents life force, strength, courage, and tenacity. Maybe that's the heart? If my Elder Futhark isn't too rusty, this is Hagalaz. It symbolizes wrath, being tested, overcoming obstacles. Approaching in focus says Rune looks different to others. Well, I could start trying to place things on here, but A, I've lost track of which is which, and B, these are pretty subjective. Come on, man, let me... Okay. What is this? God, it almost looks like you used blood as the developing chemicals, which I've heard can actually be done. Oh wait, I've just discovered another photo down here. Why has this been taken? You were clearly seeing something that nobody else was. Probably Ethan, aware that they were being stalked. I would honestly bet that that's whose heart that is. According to the map, if we keep moving beyond this, we should pretty quickly reach a body of water. So let's see if we can do anything over there, shall we? It looks like what can loosely be called some paths open up in this direction. But it is taking a little longer than I would like. I don't want to go too far away. Out of demo bounds. I see you. I see you out there. I half expected you to be gone when I looked up. There you are. Nope, I'm chasing you down. What happens? You blink out of existence. But now we've seen what they saw. We know that something's going on here. Really, the puddle of blood with the heart in it should be enough to call in the rest. Like, we're really in over our head here. But look at this. This really opens up. And that tree, I believe, appeared in the photo that we found. Hang on. Yes, right here. We find that rock, we find the angle that it was taken from. There's a fire burning up that way, too. And something at the base of the tree. A Viking armlet. These must be worth a fortune. Oh no, we were killed before we could finish the sentence. That must be something necessary to complete the puzzle, I bet. There you are, stalking us. I will make sure that there's a photo to document every instance. Question is, are you something we need to worry about? Let's see what's burning up the hill from the tree, which, oddly enough, is not appearing as a marker on the map. Another rune. You've got no description for us? Well, okay, but it does show as another marker curving up and around the lake. I saw something over here. A little statuette. A figure of a Viking warrior or god. It's hollow on the inside. I kind of get the impression I maybe shouldn't be taking these things, and there's another note heading down this trail. Eerie Encounters, number 5. But that's it. That's all. There's nothing written on it. I guess we can take it then that they did find this, but that this was the last entry. Oh, there is something down there, though. A lantern post hanging from that tree. Actually, it follows a whole trail through the woods. I wonder, can we do anything with this? It doesn't seem so. On the one hand, I don't know how to feel about the absolute silence here. I feel like we should at least have some sort of, like, footsteps, which is likely coming. But not being able to hear, like, any animals, no, not even wind, when we can see the branches moving in the breeze. Being left with nothing but that eerie soundtrack, This game is quite a vibe. Path splits off here, but let's follow the most obvious things first. Another photo, this one also blood red. That looks like a photo of an angel statue, at least from what I can see. Hang on, wait, we can see them better in our journal, I found. A photo of ruins in a red glow. And I believe we found our ruins. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, that village down below, it looked like it hadn't aged at all, but this is absolutely crumbling. This is awesome. It's like we're walking through multiple layers of history. I guess showing that, you know, the people who occupied this place, the things that were built, it all changed throughout the ages. But whatever greater force inhabits this area has always been here, has always remained the same. And all of them experienced it differently, much like these hikers each experienced it differently while they tried to sleep. Here's our statue. with a skull left at the base. A human skull. Who knows how old it is? But once more, focus doesn't show us anything. I can't seem to bring out my lantern. Did it maybe have, like, limited fuel or something? Yeah, that's a cross, that's an angel statue. This is clearly, like, a Christian church. Eerie encounters. The Forests of Forlogna, number 1. We're finding number 1 all over again. Alright, this definitely warrants a closer look. Wait, a boot. A lone brown hiking boot. Wait, we can definitely connect that to someone in particular. Hang on. That's really important. Blah, blah, blah. Brown boots. That belongs to Daniel. Or possibly Sarah. Well, look, a boot doesn't just fall off, so there must be some reason, and also they probably wouldn't have gone too far from here, because that journey would not have been comfortable. I mean, look at this ground. Is that another blood stain? The lantern is used to illuminate the darkest areas of the world. Right, but you're not letting me take it out anymore. So I guess we're on our own for this. Yes. Dry, you say? It doesn't look very dry to me. Way too much to survive. Okay, well, let's take another photo. Morbid as it is, and pick up something that we just saw on the floor. A spirit box. They said earlier who was carrying that. Probably Daniel. That tracks with the boot that we found. Wait, the lantern says, and maybe, just maybe, keep the horrors at bay. Well, I don't think we're gonna have much luck with that in our current state. There's a pathway here, but it's collapsed. God, these environments are absolutely beautiful to look at. Like, they actually feel like real spaces and not just, like, a little blip on the map for us to hit on the way. We can see the little tiny windows up there. Everything's so, like, crumbled, all the bricks falling to the floor. It actually makes it exciting to explore and not just a box to check off the list. Okay, but now what? At least we didn't find another heart, I suppose. There's a graveyard back here. And look at these ancient ruins must be so much newer than some of the other stuff we've discovered. So that's interesting to note. But it doesn't seem like there's anything to be found here, so I guess we'll just follow the path out the back. There was one over here. Out of demo bounds. And apparently so is the rest of this place. New area found ruins. Oh, yeah, hey, how about that? Well, now we can figure out where we are in relation to everything else. We're actually just beside one of those runestones. I don't know how I ended up back here. I've just been wandering in the woods. And there's one of those burning fires. Oop. Another sword in the ground. But doesn't look Viking. Was I not supposed to do that? Was I... What? What? Hang on, go. Wait, I'm stuck. Back to the rune. Maybe that can protect me? Go, go, go. Why is this happening? I'm very confused. What do I do about this? Wait, there's another note over here. Another rune about Vidar. It seems that he was the main god of worship around here. This rune mentions a village in these forests. Arsed! Okay, I guess something killed me. And looking at those doesn't pause the game. As the life leaves your body, a power intervenes, offering you a choice. Answer or restart. But it doesn't matter because I don't seem to have a mouse on the screen. Okay, I guess I picked up a deer skull. Yeah, I'm just trying to quickly grab everything because I had to start from the beginning again. Oh, hey. It looks like we've finally found those still waters I was looking for. Man, that's ghostly in the fog. Oh. Wait, now this is setting in again. What do I do? I'm just arriving here for the first time now. Hello, thing. What do I do about you? All right, run. Hopefully, I'll have the option to retry again if the note isn't open. So you can just show up whenever. It wasn't triggered by something I did at the ruins. Am I just trying to get as far away as possible? Maybe this isn't an effect on our vision. Maybe this is something that just is, and that's how they were able to get photographs that looked like this. Wait, you said the light might keep them at bay? Oh my god. You're pretty silent too, you know that? Oh my god, you're right there. Okay, does our lantern do anything about you? There's two of you. Doesn't do jack. Alright, goodbye. Your eyes are burning. Wait, what if we make it to you? And the fire burns as well when it's like this. Oh. We've got to reach you. Did I miss something that communicated that in some way? Well, we know that now. Last time that was triggered when we took this sword. I don't know why we're carrying these redundant items around, but you'd think we'd be able to use them against the forces of darkness. In the meantime, anything to be found here? I mean, based on the architecture, I would bet that it's an extension of the church. Well, now that we actually have a lantern, we can get a proper look at this place. Yeah, I'm not seeing like a bar that shows our oil diminishing or anything like that. But there's our spirit box. And there's our blood. So that doesn't paint a good picture for Daniel. Well, now that I've got all this stuff, I think I'm gonna head back to the shrine, and we'll see if we can put all this stuff together. Oh, there you are. Okay, hi. You guys trigger seemingly at random. Maybe it's just a case of you guys wander, and if I run into you, this starts. Okay, I guess I just found a cave. I'm gonna need to save up my lantern for that, but I've got to figure out where I am so I can touch base and get rid of these guys. Oh, I guess it just stopped? Wait, but then was it a coincidence earlier when going up to the statue got rid of you? I mean, it changes when you're like this. Okay. This is very confusing, and the cave seems to be marked by a deer skull. Let's enter and see what we can do. This thing is actually notably right beside the church. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe that has some kind of connection? Oh, it's very deep and winding. If those things start chasing me while I'm down here, there's not going to be very much I can really do about it. Alright, let's do the headache-inducing sprint again. Wow, look at how deep that is. I don't need the lantern right now. Oddly enough, the fog is enough illumination. God, look at this! But we haven't seen any, like, drawings on the walls or carvings or anything to indicate this was ever used by people. Actually, it looks like it's coming back up instead of going deeper. Oh, what? I think this game might need a little more time in the oven. What if we unstuck ourselves? There we go. Well, that at least stopped us from dying. But what did we see? There must be another cave exit somewhere. Alright, well now we can make a note of what each of these is supposed to be and go one by one. Divinity, luck, and protection, connection to the higher self. So, what would that be? Oh, I put that there, and a blue flame ignited. Maybe that means I was correct? Alright, what about you then? Jera, it means cycles, change, and the harvests of both nature and life. Could be the heart, could be the skull. That lit a flame. I could also just be, like, it could be doing it for anything we place there. Life force, strength, courage, and tenacity. Well, that could easily be the heart, but... maybe the... Okay, I placed the Viking figure, and that does nothing. So perhaps that could be the heart? Where was the heart? Also no. And the gods are just kind of like, ew. Maybe a Viking sword? There we go. Yep, just plunge it right down through that plate. Into the stone. Alright, we're on the right track then, except for this. Great. Well, I guess we just have to run around and avoid this for a few more minutes. And we're done. Yeah, that is something that needs to be either completely reworked or ripped out of the game entirely, because... hi. Neat. Yeah, Flash doesn't reach that far, I guess. But yeah, it's not the least bit scary. Once you realize how it works, you roll your eyes and think, okay, time to zone out and hold down Shift W for a few minutes. There's a note on the outside. Another number 1. So that's the third eerie encounters #1 we've encountered. Alright, but 3 lit candles. Let's try and solve this last one. Symbolizes wrath, being tested, overcoming obstacles. Well, tell you what, the axe can overcome obstacles. And by that I mean cut them down. That's not it. Perhaps the Viking figure goes there? No. Might as well try everything on everything since it's the last one. Wait. It was the boot. The boot of wrath, I suppose. Oh, but here, wait, we have to present a summary. What happened to each person? Well, I don't feel like we can really make a determination on that right here. I don't think there's enough information. We had some stuff to go on, but nothing concrete. I don't even know what it wants us to put. So, like Daniel, we found a boot, and we know that he was drained of his blood. As for Ethan, I do believe that he's the one at this altar here. But as for the others, I have no idea. Maybe there was more information in the cave. Let's just solve. Am I sure? Sure. Wrong. What do you want me to say? Like, did it want me to put dead? Hi. Okay, I guess it didn't stop for this. But what specifically does it want me to put? Do we need a cause of death? Do we need to find a body? Like, what? Wait, I've just realized this whole area is full of blood too, now that I have a lantern. But it doesn't seem like search mode actually does anything. You don't want to make a note of this? It seems important. Actually, I suppose you could look at this as a sacrificial altar. Wait, I haven't... Yeah, maybe Daniel was sacrificed here and then dragged down to the crypt? This developer is clearly hard at work on this because since I played it like a couple hours ago this morning, there have been a couple of new patches. I just wanted to go in here and try to get a correct answer on at least one of those final points. Only thing is, like, you know, I've got to replay the entire thing to do that, but I did notice in the patch notes that the hunt segments are set to start 5 minutes from discovering the waypoint. Which means that by doing everything else first, I can effectively skip those things. I've already placed 2 things on the altars. I can go get the deer skull from over here. Oh, thank you. And now I can get out of here. I think it's pretty funny that the game's not even out yet and I'm already figuring out ways to cheese it. But if we put the deer skull here, and the sword goes over here... Oh, wait. Wait, there's a whole other thing! Okay, I didn't see that before. Maybe that was one of the things that was fixed. So let's try it like this. I literally have no idea what happened to Sarah and Jessica. Yeah, no, that still counts as wrong. I don't even know what it wants me to put. Like, if it just wants me to put that they died or what. See, the problem with any time you have to type in an answer is a game needs to be extremely specific with what information it's exactly looking for. Hello. Alright, I've tried exploring in the other direction, and I may have just found the cave exit, where this would have come out. So it would have been on the other side of the waypoint. Oh. Hey guys. Oh, maybe this is where they hang out and then they naturally disperse into the forest when we activate that objective. This is kind of the part where, I finished the game and I'm just trying to kind of pick it over for everything I can find. And one thing that I have not praised nearly enough is how often these things just sort of stalk you from the shadows. I think it's really cool, and as I'm going back through the footage, I'm noticing more and more instances that I didn't even see, so it's really well done in that regard. Of course, I think they could be a little more dynamic when you approach them instead of just blinking out of existence, but I don't know, they are really, really cool. Oh yeah, no, look, see? I went into the options, there is in fact a footstep volume, and it's off by default. I don't know why, but there we go. Okay, so that is what it wants. But perhaps with Ethan, it wants us to find a little more. Because upon closer examination, I don't believe that's supposed to be a burned corpse. There's actually, like, distinct patterns that does make it look more like an effigy, more like a representation. And even though there is plenty of blood to be found for all of them, I don't know, maybe there's something more to this. So I guess what it wants then really is basic answers that it kind of explicitly tells you, because the blood near his effects was the only one where it explicitly said, I don't think anyone survived that. We could surmise that Ethan was dead because that was probably his watch that was mentioned in a document. But anyway, that was the demo for Nowhere, and it certainly is nowhere near in a ready state. In fact, I don't even really think it's in a ready state for a demo. However, I really like what I'm seeing as far as design philosophy. It has the makings, I think, of a really cool detective game, because I enjoyed it so much every single time I found something that I was led to by a connection to a previous piece of evidence. I mean, hearing that somebody was up in the tower, so maybe we can get something from there, and then that shows us an angle that leads us to somewhere else. You can find everything by simply wandering around. It's not like things only spawn, or you can only interact with objects once you've done, like, prerequisites. But if you find certain things, and think about what they mean, and develop, like, hunches, it'll lead you on a path. And so you'll find one thing after another in a chain in a way that feels really natural, which I feel like a lot of mystery games are lacking. And that's why I have, like, so much hope for this project in particular. Now, of course, bugs are to be expected. It's in a very early state, and so some of that can be forgiven. The environments, of course, are absolutely gorgeous, and I particularly enjoyed the explorable interiors, mainly because in a lot of games, they'll be very basic when it comes to these things, and I liked how detailed and how lived in and how actually like a real structure the church felt. I guess kind of allowed me to scratch my urban exploration vibes, although this is the furthest possible thing from urban. The enemy encounters were of course a low point because right now they're really just a tedious distraction more than anything. I do think there's some potential there, simply because I noted that when I was running from them, that was really the only time I would leave the trail. And that works really, really well with the map that works realistically, because you're navigating by landmarks and trails, and you tend to lose those things when you're running from these guys. So they could be a threat, really even just in terms of getting you lost. But let's actually have a look at the update notes, because maybe we can get some hints about the game from that. Fixed the game not properly, blah blah blah. Fixed the revolver and bullet text, so perhaps there will be like proper survival horror. Footstep volume control. Wait, were there footsteps? Was it just like on 0 by default? Or maybe it's for the enemies, I know they had footsteps. All in all, it's a game that I think has the right ideas when it comes to its detective gameplay. I'm not so sure yet when it comes to the survival horror, and obviously it's just in a really rough state in need of a lot of bug fixing, but I definitely believe in the potential of this one. And if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. I'm not sure if the demo will become available once the embargo lifts, but I will provide a link to the Steam page in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one.